Hello and welcome to a special episode of LGR Play. As always, I'm your host, Mark Hamer, and joining me once again is Mark Chazzy Reay from the Honourable Mentions podcast. Hello.
Hello, hello.
We've been to EGX.
We have been. I've made like a lightning quick round of EGX, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I was there for 2 days, and even that felt probably not enough to be able to see all the things that I wanted to see. So, was this your first?
Oh no, no,
EGX?
no. I was there many years ago. I think the first ever game I played at an EGX was Dishonored.
Oh wow, okay, so that was a while ago then.
Yeah.
So this was only my second. I went 2 years ago, missed it last year because it coincided with being on holiday. So EGX is can you say the big brother to Rezt? Or Rezt is the little brother to EGX. It's Eurogamer's premier consumer conference for video games.
That's it.
Where you've got a decent section of indie games, but most of the show floor is taken over by
the big boys.
AAA platform holders and the AAA publishers, or a selection of. Although I'm not that bothered about that stuff, to be honest. So I mean, there were massive queues to go and play Spider-Man, which has already been out for 3 weeks, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, which had already been out for a couple of weeks.
The joke is always that people are always going and play FIFA, like queue up for 2 hours to play FIFA and Overwatch.
Yeah.
You know, and Fortnite, which have been out for ages.
Fortnite. And Fortnite's a free-to-play game that's out on everything, and people are still queuing up to play. I don't understand. Maybe there was some competition or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
And then there were some big upcoming AAA games there that had massive queues that I just avoided, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Metro Exodus, and the new Call of Duty,
Division
and so
2.
on and so forth. The Division 2. Yeah, and I wasn't bothered about any of that stuff, to be honest, because you know what you're going to get with those games.
Yeah, they'll be along soon enough.
Exactly. I go to EGX to try and find some new stuff, and I did find quite a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, you were on a mission.
I was on a mission, yeah. I went around and viewed quite a lot of games over the 2 days I was there. So what did you see on the Saturday?
On the Saturday, well, the first thing, I think, because you were basically my guide for the short time that I was there, and you just dragged me kicking and screaming over to see Dreams by Media Molecule.
Yeah. Dreams, you'll have probably seen it in PlayStation conferences for the last 3 or 4 years. Media Molecule have been showing this game off, and it looks really crazy and out there, and it's like a creation suite to be able to create anything you want.
Yeah.
And this was the only place you could get hands on this game this year, and nobody was queuing for it.
I know, it was insane. The thing is this game has been completely off my radar. I've sort of only ever heard about it in sort of vague whispers and the odd like kind of reference here and there, but I knew nothing about this whatsoever. So I was sat down at the demo to kind of give it a go, and couldn't even get out of the menu screen because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realise that it was all motion controls on the on the PlayStation Pad. And so that took me a while to just get my head around the menus, and then I dived straight into the demo of the sort of 3D platformer level that they'd created, and I thought, and I had a play of that, and it was quite tough, really pretty, really like a really good little sort of like say 3D platformer. It was lovely. And then I thought, oh, okay, that's a good little platformer. I'll go over and see what Mark's up to now. And you were playing a dogfighting game, and then I was thrown because I thought, but I just played a platformer.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about the fact that this was, like you say, a creation suite. It's like the next evolution of Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by it. And then suddenly looking around at all the demo stations, and every single station had a different game on it. You had like sort of 2D R-type shooters. You had this kind of crazy game that was where you were a box moving, like herding like other like
Oh
shapes?
no, you were trying to hug them.
That's it, right? Okay, so you were trying to hug them.
Yeah. But if you were playing, if you're playing, it was called Please Hug Me, and yeah, you're playing this little box thing with his arms out, and when you're wearing the headphones, it's making this noise, and like you like shuffle towards these weird shaped things on this platform to try and hug them, and they all just back away until they all fall off the edge, and then the game ends.
Yeah,
It's quite sad.
Yeah, it was. But the whole experience to me was just mind-blowing because I wasn't expecting it. I had no preconceptions of it at all, and it was almost as though that whole thing was set up to go, oh, well, you've heard all about this and you've read everything about it, and then just jump in and away you go. And having had no kind of hype or build up to it at all, it completely flummoxed me, and I just didn't know what I was doing or what this was showing me or what it was about. Like, is this like, explain to me what Dreams is, because this demo didn't. It just it was strange.
Well, this is the thing that I'm a bit trepidatious about. So Dreams has been sold for the last few years when they've shown it off at Sony press conferences at E3 and PlayStation Experience and whatnot, is Media Molecule's new thing. So now that you can create anything, you create your own assets, you create your own characters, you program the games in any way you want. And I thought, okay, this sounds like a really cool concept. It just seems a little bit too far out there. I don't think it would work. But then I sat down and played it, and the selection of games they got, and so they got the Please Hug Me, they got the 3D platform one you played as well. Yeah. There was the R-Type shmup. There was a like really cryptic text adventure based in a house party that has a dark secret, and it was just an old school text adventure, black background, white text, and button choices to go into different rooms and pick things up and whatnot. And that was really good. There was a platformer called Comic Sans, which was like I kind of like you're like a crudely drawn block character on a crudely drawn platforming level, and then a little way into the level, the big pencil comes in and draws a pair of legs on the character, and then they can run. And then at one point they run off the screen, and then the pencil comes in and draws like a fully 3D background, and then like at a click of a finger the character turns into a 3D version of the 2D version they were, and then suddenly you're in like a full 3D platform.
So all these demos just essentially trying to tell you that, as the name suggests, that anything you can dream up, you can make it with these suite of tools. Essentially,
yeah. These are just it's just a small selection of the type of things that you can make in Dreams. But the thing that I'm worried about is they haven't shown as yet those tools being used to build anything.
Yeah.
They've showed like time lapse of stuff being made really, really quickly. You can't get an idea of what the tools are like, how easy they are to use. I want to see someone who has never touched Dreams before be able to sit down and play it and be able to create something, because like
is there scripting? Is there kind of like visual scripting? Yes. Is there the same kind of stuff in Little Big Planet where you were moulding and creating your own 3D models?
Yeah, but that was easy to pick up. Super Mario Maker, easy to pick up. This needs to be easy to pick up, and they haven't shown those creation tools yet, and that's the only thing I'm worried about, because if they are easy to use, this could be such an amazing sort of foothold for people who would like to be able to get into game design but don't know how to code or anything like that. This would be the complete tool set for you to be able to create small games. And I'm just, if it's easy to use, I'm not going to be able to create anything great because I just don't have a particularly creative mind, but I would be...
You're hoping it's an entry point for someone to create something amazing that you can pick up on their online service.
I'm looking forward to seeing all the cool stuff that other people make, basically.
Yeah, which is basically Media Molecule pretty much in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, some of the levels, so some of the things people did with the Little Big Planet level creators were insane. Like, people managed to make like working calculators and things like that, and it's just bonkers. So yeah, Dreams was amazing. I went back there
Yep.
3 times because it was just great, and I knew I could get in without queuing. I don't understand why the queues for Fortnite were so long, and yet no one was going to go and see this game that you wouldn't be able to get hands on anywhere else this year, at least. And that game still doesn't have a release date. I don't even know if it ever will come out. So this could have been the only chance to get hands on with it, but you know, people are crazy. What else did I play? I'll have a look and see what. I say AAA, but the games that from the big publishers that I played. So I played Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, which is
okay. Is that a follow-up to their other dancing game?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, there was a Persona. There were Persona 4 ones. They're bringing out 2 now. Persona 3 and Persona 5.
Okay.
They're just rhythm action games, basically. You play them on a pad, but they look like they were probably designed to be played on a DDR mat. So if you can get a DDR mat for a PS4, I wish I could. I would absolutely play it on one of those. What else did I play? I played some Overwatch. You know, after you just decried people queuing to play Overwatch. Well, I went and played some Overwatch.
You see, you're the problem. That's the thing. You're playing a game that's already out.
No, I didn't.
And a game that's been out for forever.
I didn't queue for it. It wasn't like a demo or anything like that. It was an ESL area with a esports league, and they had like Hearthstone competitions and things like that. And there was like 2 massive banks of computers where people were getting into groups and playing Overwatch on PC. And the only reason I jumped on it is because I'd never played Overwatch on PC before. I've only ever played it on console, my MacBook. It might be able to handle it, but I don't even want to try. I miss playing shooters on a keyboard and mouse. There's just a speed to it that you can't, and an accuracy and a precision that you just can't get on a controller. So I thought I'd jump in that, and I was awful because that game relies quite heavily on the use of your abilities, and where they are on my controllers become muscle memory, but being able to like reach over and hit the E key or the left shift key or the Q key or whatever at a moment's notice, it just didn't feel natural to me because I'm not used to it, and so I was awful. But that game is, it's dead good on PC. Starlink, we played some Starlink, didn't we?
We played some Starlink.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah.
Yes. A game, again, that I only remember from quickly glimpsing it on an E3 sort of demo reel, going, that looks alright. Toys to Life. Not really all that interested in those. Moving on. And then we got to sit down and actually play the demo, and I was pleasantly surprised. It is that game had, as I said to you, like when we left the demo, it had elements of Monster Hunter, it had elements of Destiny, it had elements of kind of No Man's Sky, and I really loved it. I didn't know how much use you have a spaceship that's attached to your controller. Essentially, it's sitting on a little cradle, and you can literally take the pilot out, take the different weapons out, and affix them to the wings. And as we were being told by the guy who ran the demo, like if you fix the weapons on back to front, it will fire backwards or forwards and that kind of stuff. And you can make like the combo that works for the boss fight you're in, or the kind of level you're playing through. So we were sort of flying through space essentially. Then we just saw a planet, and you go down, and No Man's Sky style, everything pops into view, and then suddenly you're down on the planet, and you're getting missions, and checkpoints that you've got to go forward and check out. And it sort of, the demo for me ended up culminating in this like amazing battle at the end with this massive sort of, I don't know, crab spider-like creature, where you obviously shoot the glowing red points, and but we were going seamlessly from sort of a tank controls on the ground, and then you could just fire up the engines, and you're up in the sky and attacking from above as well. And that kind of duality that you can that you could get, and the ease that was done, I found incredible. I just thought once I got my head around the controls are very tricky, because it's, rather than throttles on the triggers are used to fire your left and right weapon on your wings, but so therefore there's no throttle. The throttle's done forward and back on the stick, and that was really confusing to me. And it was kind of like patting your stomach and rubbing your head a little bit. But once I got my head around that, it just really felt wonderful to be able to just. The whole game feels like you can just make up in a battle. You can make up strategies and styles on the fly. And kind of I just found it a really incredible sort of battling game, like shooter. It was wonderful, but it was very simplistic at the same time, so it wasn't as overwhelming as something like a Monster Hunter or a Destiny. And like kind of, if I was getting in trouble, I could just whip off the Gatling cannon and put on the flamethrowers or the cluster missiles, or just go heavy attack for the boss fights and that kind of stuff. And it all just works on the fly. That's
wonderful. What I was doing, because I jumped into the first area and I selected like the Gatling gun and the rocket launchers that fired ice missiles, but then I was coming up against enemies that were ice anyway, so you could just take that gun off the model on your controller, put down the flamethrower one instead. Like when you take the gun off, it pauses and you put the next one on, and then it unpauses and you're ready to go. And it's just like being able to switch out the tactile, actual physical components on your ship on the fly felt really good. Like, because most toys to life games, like Lego Dimensions, I guess, had more because you could like build stuff and whatnot, but most toys to life games is like just plonk it down on the portal and that's it. Whereas this was more, you were interacting, like it sits on top of your controller, it's right there in front of you, and you're like changing it out and modifying it on the fly. And
it's weird because that feels awkward. It doesn't hamper the controls in any way, shape or form, but that kind of extra weight and heft can make it feel a bit awkward and strange when you're playing, I found. But it was I thought it was a wonderful game, and and that was Ubisoft, wasn't it?
Ubisoft's, and it's
so it's kind of, is it tied in any way to Star Fox? Because I know there is a Star Fox ship
only on the Switch.
That's
on the Switch version. Okay. So there's like a different starter packs. Actually, I think there's one starter pack for like PlayStation and Xbox where you get like the human pilot and one of the types of ships and a small selection of guns, and then you can buy the other one separately. But if you get it on Switch, the starter pack comes with Star Fox and with the R-Wing, and then you can buy the other ship separately. But that's a Switch exclusive. I don't think they were ever going to allow Star Fox stuff to be on the other consoles. But we played it on Xbox One X. I played it the day before, just on a Switch with a Pro controller without the toy components, which is why I wanted to try it again with that stuff. Now on the Switch, there was a noticeable decrease in visual fidelity. It was a bit more pixelated, but that's to be expected because it's significantly less powerful.
It would be running at 720p as well.
But it still does everything that the other ones were doing, like the seamless flying from space down onto the planet's surface, and then transitioning from flying to down on the surface, and then being able to take off and then leave the planet as well. Just like No Man's Sky, but on a handheld console, which is insane.
Would you say it was the equivalent of, say, Rocket League on the PlayStation 2, Rocket League on the Switch, that kind of fidelity shift?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. Like it's noticeably sharper on the big boy consoles, if you want to call them that. I was going to
say, it looked beautiful on the Xbox One X.
But it doesn't look ugly on the Switch at all, because it's got a very distinctive art direction. Little things like when you were attacking the big tower thing, and it was sending out those spirals of flame. Like the way those were saying, it didn't look like regular fire; it looked like hand animated almost in a way. It's got a very distinctive art style that means even with the less sharp visuals on the Switch, it's still a very pretty game. So if you're desperate to get it on that, that's probably the best place to pick it up on, because you get Star Fox.
That's it.
Not going to run through everything we played because I played quite a lot, but we played Sonic Racing.
Yes. Really interested in this one, only because I'm a massive fan of Sonic All-Star Team Racing or whatever I can never remember the name, it's so long-winded. But I love that game. This was very much the same. I found it quite framey, and also the thing that redeems it is the kind of team mechanic of being able to you actually race as a team of 3, and being able to switch weapons that you pick up, sort of. So as you run over a pickup in like Mario Kart style, you can decide whether you send it to a teammate to help aid them. So if you're, you know, 5th out of 8, and your friend is like number 2 and needs to get into first position, and you just happen to have the kind of red shell equivalent, you can fire it over to them. They can take out the guy in first, and you know, your team can make a massive improvement. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and the sort of if that's online and you're going in as a crew, there could be a lot of fun to be had.
Yeah,
there.
definitely.
But yeah, very much more of the same. So if you like the your kind of your kart games, and that Sonic game was like the best kart game after Mario Kart, then yeah, pick this up. But the only thing I would say is, like, I'm hoping that was just a bad demo, like, build, and that's not as framey as, you know, in the final, like, sort of production. But we shall see. Hopefully, you know, maybe gets patched. But yeah, let's keep an eye on that one, I think.
Yeah, it was noticeable dips. It only ever went into 60 frames a second when you were going around a tight corner, and then as soon as you're on the straights and had to draw more stuff in, it got a little bit framey. But you know, it feels like Sonic. Like if you like the old Sonic games, and it's just more of that.
Like I say, these are all preview builds as well, so you know we can't be too harsh on it. But the way it plays, feels great, feels incredible. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
on that
definitely.
One.
Just a quick rundown of some of the highlights from the indie games I saw. Untitled, well, I say indie games. Untitled Goose Game, I think, is an indie game, but it was over on the Nintendo section. It was also one of the most popular games. I'd only got it on one unit, and so the queue to play it was about an hour long. You're basically a goose causing mischief in a garden, trying to annoy a farmer, and it's very funny. I played Eastward and Time Spinner over Chucklefish. Eastward is a very 90s style JRPG, but like an action JRPG, so it's not like turn-based combat. Very, very cool art direction, very cool music, everything about that I just dug. Time Spinner is a very cool sort of Metroid, Mega Man sort of game. That was very good. Fogs, which is like a twin stick puzzle game where you control
PHOGS,
PHOGS. You control two ends of a dog, of a two-headed dog, like Push Me Pull You from Dr. Dolittle, but a dog. So the two sticks control the head, and then the bumpers can make them bite, and then the triggers made it stretch, and you were like basically having to solve puzzles that way. It was very cute and very funny. Sticky Cats, which was this mental, like, hand-drawn,
like sort of scratchy, almost drawn by a child kind of cat room, you know, and you've basically just got to get a cat out of a room. It's all sort of 2D style, very you described it to me as Gang Beasts, but with a cat that's trying to get fish out of a window. Yeah,
but there's still like the rest. Basically, if Gang Beasts has been drawn by a child, and it was about cats trying to steal a fish and escape, and it was absolutely hilarious. Like, absolutely pissed myself playing that.
There was a bit of Mount Your Friends in there as well.
Yes, definitely. When I was over in the left field section, there were some really crazy games. I played Tanglewood, which is the first new Mega Drive game in like 20 years, probably. I don't know when the last one was.
Probably more than that,
So yeah, some guys who made like a really nice classic 2D platformer, and I think you can get it. I think the plan is for you to get it on PC, but if you want, you can get it on a Mega Drive cart, and they'd got them playing on Mega Drives there. So I was, I played it on a Mega Drive, which is crazy, playing a brand new Mega Drive game. Catastronauts, which was like if you crossed FTL with Overcooked.
Overcooked, yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. There was 3 of us, and then one of the developers was the 4th player. It was like talking us through some of the new mechanics and stuff that they've thrown in there, like that we may not have worked out on our own, because everything happens so quickly and it's so frantic, and you're just trying to put fires out and patch up holes in the ship and also shoot the enemy ship. and recharge batteries and get rid of bombs and whatnot, and it's mental. Really, really funny. I have to skip a few of these. Like for a full list, go and listen to the podcasts, because we're going to run down all of the games that we saw on there. But the one game I want to highlight, which I went back and played, or my other half Zoe played it, and then she came and found me and she dragged me over and said, like, you've got to play this game. And then I loved it so much I went and dragged other people there to go and play it as well. And it's this game called Soundfall, and it's like a twin stick shooter, but with some melee combat and like dodge rolls. It reminded me of a little bit of Fury, and I mentioned that to developers, and neither of them had heard of Fury, and I was like, you've got to go and play that game, because this is your sort of thing. You will dig Fury. Reminded me a bit of Fury, reminded me a bit of Nex Machina, sort of, but the whole thing is framed as a rhythm action game. So you can shoot and dodge and stuff whenever you want, but if you do it in time with the music, it's more effective. So like, if you fire off the beat, your gun does like no damage, but if you fire on the beat, then you get a big blast from it. So everything you're doing is on the beat. Switching weapons, dodging, shooting, everything like that. There's bits where you have to like move along a rail, and the rail has these fixed points, and you have to hit a button in time with the music to be able to move along the rail to progress to the next area, and activate jump pads and all these other things, and timing your dodges so that it's on the beat, but also so that you can utilize the iframes to dodge the enemy's attacks. And it's just so good, and it felt so ridiculously tight to play. I was talking to the devs afterwards, and it came as no surprise to learn that they're both ex-Epic staff, and so they'd had it drilled into them. Everything has to be super tight. And it is. The combat is ridiculously tight, and it kind of has to be, because it's a rhythm action game.
See, this is really getting me excited, because the games that recently that I've been so into in probably the last 6 months to a year are Nex Machina, Crypt of the Necrodancer, that kind of thing, Enter the Gungeon, that kind of stuff. So to hear that there's a game that's essentially like mashing all those into one game is just like, I'm so excited. I just want to see this running now.
It is. I mean, there's. I asked them if they got any B-roll, and unfortunately hadn't. I captured some off-screen footage, but it's not great. There is a trailer out there that you can check it out. But basically, I just say, if you can get to a convention where it's going to be available to play, then like make sure you go and play it, because it is absolutely incredible. It is, like a good example, a good way to describe it would probably be Crypt of the Necrodancer crossed with Nex Machina, because it is that super tight arcade style twin stick shooting, but with the rhythm action element in there, and the soundtrack is absolutely banging. It's the sort of stuff that I just wouldn't listen to outside of a game, and then but when you're there, it's just like, oh, it's so good. This is so good.
Yeah.
We played played a couple of games, 2-player, and then we went off and they came back. A group of us and played a 4-player game, and 4-player was just ridiculously frantic. They said it's got local co-op obviously, but it also will have online co-op when it comes out.
Fantastic. You and I are streaming this, my friend, if it comes out.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be, they said that they're probably not going to be out until like the end of next year, which sucks, but they said they will try and get a demo out at some point. For people to check out. But yeah, that
is on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I said to them after, so like, this is probably the best game I've played here all weekend, and I played some pretty good games, but nothing pushed as many of my buttons as this game did. Like, it just felt so good to play. Like,
fantastic.
A big exponent of game feel. If a game feels really good to play, then it's already a winner. Well, this had got that, and then everything else was just a bonus.
Fantastic.
It was really good, EGX. I also went to some panel as well.
Yeah, some numpty was giving some kind of weird panel. It was.
What was it about? Games that are just inside your top 10.
Games that are alright.
No, games that are just outside your top 10. Was it? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I didn't have much time for EGX, because I was giving a talk. I somehow lucked out, and honourable mentions made its live stage debut at the EGX Fringe Theatre. So barring the slight tiny technical difficulties of me forgetting to speak into the mic for the first minute, it was just a wonderful experience. I got to speak to Andrew Smith, who is making Lazarus, the top-down roguelike MMO shooter. I got to speak to him about his honourable mention, and also got to speak to Des from Kane and Rince podcast about his honourable mention as well. And that 45 minutes absolutely flew by. But yeah, hopefully I'll have a podcast of that up soon, and you very kindly shot some video which I didn't know about, so yeah, it should even hit YouTube very soon as well, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for those.
It was a really good panel. So I didn't manage to catch many of the other conferences, which because there were just too many games to see, but there were some really good ones. There was one there about
the stuff in the main sessions actually should be found. You should be able to find those online.
Okay, that's cool, right? Because there was stuff like people from Bungie over there talking about their how they made the Dreaming City, but there was some other stuff in like the Fringe Theatre, things like the one guy doing a panel about his Championship Manager addiction and stuff like that. Like there was some really interesting stuff going on this year. Like this was the first year the Fringe stuff was going on, I think, wasn't it?
It's literally the inaugural like Fringe Theatre. I think that's it. It's a great way of fostering new talent as well, because there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of great things in and around games, and no one is it's really hard to get visibility. I mean, as we know with LGR Play, to have something where anyone can pitch an idea, and if it's good enough, it will get, the cream will rise to the top, and someone new can get a chance to get a whole new section of visibility for their content is just incredible to me. Like I say, I've been plugging away for, I think it's nigh on 8 years, like making podcasts and videos and all kinds of stuff, and to be plucked out and say, no, your stuff's good enough for us, that was just everything to me. And to be able to, the amount of people who gave me such wonderful feedback on the show and stuff, and hopefully it can help me grow and help the things I do just get better. Basically, I've learned so much just from doing a live show, that if I ever get the chance to do one again, I'm gonna be able to take those learnings on and make an even better show. So yeah, that it's just invaluable, absolutely invaluable, and I'm hoping that they'll take this idea into Rezzed as well.
Yeah, it would be a good thing. Rezzed is going to be that's definitely somewhere we're going to go next year, I think.
Yeah, but I would say to you is
clash with anything.
Make sure have a look through the sessions at Rezzed and see if there's anything there that really catches your eye, because they're the things to go to. Like I got to go and watch the Tim Schafer session this year, and that was incredible. And yeah, you learn so much, and there's so many little things that come out of those sessions that really make you think and sort of open your eyes to things that you'd never ever considered before.
So yeah, that was EGX 2018.
That's it.
Counting down the days till EGX 2019.
That's
and
it.
We can all get together again. That was one of the best things about it. It's just like to get to meet people that you chat to on the internet that I hadn't ever met before. Like a friend of the show, Colin from Last Save Loaded. I hadn't ever met him before, so I got to meet him. I got to meet Doug, who's another friend of the show who did the Overwatch episode with me. Very nice fella. Got to meet him for the first time.
That's the best bit about EGX, is that you will meet a whole bunch of new people you've never met before, who all love the thing that you love, and you've all got that common ground.
Yep.
And it's just wonderful. I remember like the first time I went, I ended up just in a pub, and like everyone I'd ever listened to on any podcast or any video show was in this one pub, and I got to meet so many great people that now, years later, every year that I've gone to EGX since, we're bumping into, hello, how you doing? You all right? Oh, what are you up to? Blah blah blah. And they all are all supporting each other, and all kind of getting involved with each other's projects and helping out. And yeah, it's just this weird, like once a year social club that it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful gathering place for all of that to happen, all of this interesting stuff around games to happen, not just the games themselves. And that's the wonderful thing. You've got the esports people all banding together, you've got the fighting games people all banding together around their section, you've got the Fringe Theatre people all helping each other out, and there's so many of these little, like, big communities, small communities that are on the rise. They're all coming together and all based around their love of video games, and it's just a wonderful atmosphere.
It's great.
Incredible.
Right, well, thanks for watching. As always, you can find us on Twitter @LapsGamer. You can find us on Podbean and iTunes and Spotify if you search for the LapsGamer Radio podcast. Drop us an email to lapsgamerradio@gmail.com, and you can find our blog at lapsedgamer.com. That's it for this special EGX 2018 episode of LGR Play, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Ta-ra!
See ya.